terror lords, a guy who's enslaved his own people, a guy who lost the election and refused to step down. The reason he was able to stay in power is because he has the military on his side. The military in Venezuela is highly corrupt, and he has control over them. This is a major problem going forward because Trump has to deal with that somehow. Also going to be with him being walked out of the plane. So I think what they're doing here is they flew over to America, the closest one they could to put him on a boat, and they're sending him up to New York on a boat. They could put him on a plane, they're choosing to stick him on a boat. With all that said, look who decided to join the party here. It's Mark Carney finally releasing his message here. So he's in a tough position because he can't make a statement either way without losing supporters. So what did he have to say? Listen to this comment. Yes, one of the first actions taken by Canada's new government in March 2025 was to impose additional sanctions on Nicolas Maduro's newly repressive and criminal regime, unequivocally condemning his grave breaches of international peace and security rules and systemic human rights violations and corruption. He's acknowledging that Maduro is bad. We think he's going to think Trump Canada does not recognize the illegitimate regime of Maduro's since it stole the 2018 election. The Canadian government therefore welcomes the opportunity for freedom, democracy, peace, and prosperity for the Venezuelan people. Quickly jumping down memory lane of the 2024 Venezuelan presidential election. These were the results here. You can see Gonzalez won with 68.7% of the vote versus 30% from Maduro, but he refused to step down and use the military and stayed in power. The Canadian government therefore welcomes the opportunity for freedom, democracy, peace, and prosperity for the Venezuelan people. This is all just very generic. Canada has long supported a peaceful, negotiated, Venezuelan-led transition process that respects the democratic will of Venezuelan people, in keeping with our long-standing commitment to upholding the rule of law, sovereignty, and human rights. Canada calls on all parties to respect international law. International law isn't a thing. There isn't a world government, so that isn't a thing. What they're talking about is the UN, all these eco-bureaucrats that try to make up laws and force them on countries, often on countries that have a lot of power they can't control. So essentially, Marnie's taking a little bit of a jab here at Trump, but he doesn't want to say it outright because he's too much of a coward. We stand by the Venezuelan people's sovereign right to decide and build their own future in a peaceful and democratic society. Canada attaches great importance to resolution of crisis through multilateral engagement and in close contact with international partners and about ongoing developments. We are first and foremost ready to assist Canadians through our consular officials and our embassy in Bogota, Colombia, and will continue to support Venezuelan refugees. This is an incredibly weak response by Mark Carney. He wanted to try to stay right in the middle and not commit either direction. He knows all the insane leftists who think Maduro had the right to just sit in his palace and completely destroy the lives of the people of Venezuela. He knows he's seen the left who keep bringing up this international law thing as if Maduro gets to be protected by international law while he's breaking the law in his own country. This guy illegally staying in power, and yet leftists think this is a bad thing, that getting rid of this narco trafficker terror lord. out of Venezuela. We have a lot of replies from creators, and they're just all nailing it. Mario, if you're in a pickle and you know it, most of your base knows that Maduro was a narco dictator, a thug, and likewise, most of your base suffers from TDS. Hence why you couldn't muster a simple congratulations for a flawless operation and framing the tens of millions from a dictatorship rule. Your biggest concern is how this is going to affect the USMCA, given Trump just announced he'll be pumping oil to Venezuela. I mean, that's what it comes down to here. And he goes on to mention here, he took too long to get a deal. And Carney's just an absolute loser. He's working for himself. He doesn't care about Canada. We've got Wyatt Claypool. Pathetic statement, no moral clarity, hedging like a gardener because, half your base wants you to condemn Trump and the other half is rational and knows Maduro was a thug who got what was coming to him. Exactly. It's really quite shocking that leftists think it's bad that this guy has been pulled out of the office that he doesn't belong in, that he didn't win. And the fact that all these leftists are going after Pierre Poilievre when it's Mark Carney who can make the decisions right now to approve a refinery, approve a pipeline to the east, approve a pipeline to Prince Rupert, to twin the Trans Mountain pipeline. Should all be going right now. And making a deal for Keystone XL. Sounds like you did nothing but virtue signal as usual, and now you're embarrassed because someone actually had the balls to do something. Carney's a weak man. He's only in it for himself. And we've got table salt. Grok how not to piss off Trump, but also look weak, and also subtly protest regime change, but not make it obvious. That sums up exactly Carney's reply here. In other news, what do we got? Media running, Poilievre lights emergency flares to beg Trump to invade Canada. Oh boy. We do have Pierre Poilievre with another response here. Every day it becomes more and more clear that Mark Carney's testifying against the Northern Gateway pipeline and the Liberal government's cancellation of it was a generational blunder for Canada's economic independence. Now we are in a weakened and dependent position. No matter what they promise now, Liberals will never make it happen. So Poilievre doubling down on this, nailing him on this pipeline that never got built. Mark Carney in full favor of blocking this. Here we've got another video of them parading Maduro around, Brian Lilley saying that they are documenting this and releasing it in a way that is not about humiliation, it's warning to other leaders. Kim Jong-un better go on vacation. And that's true, it is a warning to other leaders, but it's not a warning to all leaders. Obviously any other narco-terror lords might want to watch their back, but it also has to have something in it for America, and that's where the oil comes in. It's a perfect storm. So it's not like Trump is going to roll into Canada, he's roll into Greenland and just completely annex it, use the Apache helicopters and send missiles into the local police station and raid the place and take it over. That's what we're getting from the media, though, this kind of fear-mongering, trying to set it up for Mark Carney for his next election run. This scary and dangerous Donald Trump is going to take over our country, but don't worry, we've got Mr. Banker to fight back against Donald Trump. And here we have Exhibit A on CBC. What's next for Venezuela and its hard-hit oil sector after the Maduro capture?
Roxana, just before speaking to you, we were with our colleague Gloria in Montreal, and she was speaking to Venezuelan nationals living in Canada who are celebrating what has taken place, the ousting of Nicolas Maduro, which seems so at odds with so much of the international analysis that we're getting that this may have been an illegal act carried out by the U.S. president. Talk to me about how you're interpreting what is taking place in Venezuela.
You notice that? That's where they're going with this. There seems to be people celebrating, but why would they do that? Trump broke the law. This was an illegal act to get rid of this awful terror lord that was enslaving his own people. The people of Venezuela, over a single year, on average, they all lost 20 pounds. That's how bad the food insecurity is there. Now, this was going back a couple of years, but during Maduro's reign. And just so we're clear, this is what Venezuela looks like right now. So I don't know if this is copyright music, even though they're singing it, but I mean, everyone's singing and dancing. They're happy. This is a celebration. It is not like, oh, that evil Trump came in here and took away our awful dictator. We don't like Trump. Is there anyone here who's mad at Trump? I doubt it. I've not seen one Venezuelan mad at Trump for arresting Maduro. Not one. But that's not the narrative they're painting here on CBC.
On the one hand, of course, Venezuelans that have seen their country deteriorate over 2 decades. My concern, the Trump administration has not made clear what is their plan when they say that they are going to run the country. And another very big concern is that they haven't said anything about elections. When are the presidential elections that will help shape Venezuela's future and transition Venezuela to a democracy going to take place? And the oil sector, if that is a prerequisite for such elections, the oil sector is going to take years, if not a decade or more, to come back to a healthy and productive oil sector. So I have some
Yeah, these are concerns. They haven't given more information, and they're painting this narrative that, oh, this is so dangerous, so scary, we've got concerns, what is Trump going to do? And a side note, this thing is awesome. America's got some cool toys. Essentially, they have this story on here that's based on nothing other than speculation that Trump might be doing something really bad here. We know what he's doing. He's going to get the oil from Venezuela and enrich America. We know what he's doing. And he got rid of Maduro in the process. The people of Venezuela are happy. It's going to be very good for America financially. It's a win-win for both those nations. It's not like he was just some kind of crappy politician that was not very good at his job. He was a narco-terror lord. It's not like he was a decent guy and Trump came and captured him. He was a really bad dude who had what was coming to him.
Some big concerns about what comes next in Venezuela and how long it's going to take and what this means for the U.S. presence and U.S. ability to run the country for the long term.
Okay, so then Roxana, let's play out two scenarios. Beginning with what your worst case scenario is. Now, there's a lot of skepticism out there about the U.S. president's presence in Venezuela. One thing he has made clear is that the oil is a big factor in this. That they want to re-establish the infrastructure, have American oil companies get into Venezuela, extract that wealth. He said that's how we're going to be involved. They are caretaking of the government. They might be relying on the current vice president who's being sworn in as president. As you said, no reference to Gonzalez, who was elected last year, or 2 years ago now, I should say. So what, in your mind, would be the worst case scenario with the American presence there?
There it is. Go right to the worst case scenario. Oh my God, Trump is being so evil here. He already said they're working out a plan. They're not just jumping to the first thing with putting Edmundo back in there and then off you guys go. They're figuring it out the way that it'll stay stable, it'll have a democracy, getting rid of this socialist dictatorship. So they're not rushing into it.
The worst case scenario would be a indefinite or protracted U.S. military occupation of Venezuela, where there is no clear path to a democratic transition, where you have a Maduro insider, Maduro crony that has taken over and has agreed to the U.S. government's demands, but without a clear plan for how the country will transition to democracy.
Yeah, but that's not what's going to happen here. They're going to figure out a plan and roll it out. I don't think they're going to be putting 100,000 troops on the ground and running the country as if it's their own like that. They want this to transition to a democracy and quickly. So there's no shortage of leftists melting down. We've got Heather McPherson here originally posting, Trump's administration has decided the rules no longer apply U.S. or international law. International law isn't a thing. Justice does not come from force. It comes from accountability under international law. Maduro's repression does not justify these actions, and Canada must not tolerate any violations of international law. You know what's funny about this is they're bringing him to the courthouse, they're trying him in a court of law. They could have just taken him out to see his body and he would have been gone. They could have done that, but that's not what they're doing. They're letting a court try him. So what is she complaining about here? The fact that they went in with a Black Hawk helicopter and some troops to go capture him? I mean, he's not going to come out willingly. He's a narco-terror lord. This is such a dumb take. And then she replies in her own post here saying we are witnessing the end of international law. There's no police force to police international law. Thus, it's a set of agreements, but really it can be broken and there's no consequence. It doesn't really exist. We do have conservative Garnet Jennings replying to this ridiculous post here saying he was not the head of state, but Maduro's illegitimacy was the overwhelming consensus of the democratic world. Not a single member of the G7 or EU recognized this election. Who considers Maduro president? China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Eritrea, and the NDP. Ouch. Mic drop. Get Heather McPherson an ambulance because that burn is bad. Yep, the Canadian NDP. No logic or reason. Going back to the CBC, we've got Nicolas Maduro, the man of the people with an iron grip. What a statement. And with that, bring on this guy. This is an interesting choice for their panel here.
Guest who you see on your screen, this is Ben Rosewell. He's a former Canadian ambassador to Venezuela and a consultant with Catalyze 4.
A consultant with Catalyze 4. Who uses the word Catalyze? You already know where this is going. The guy who launched Catalyze 4 is Andrew Bevin, as it says here, and the graph from the NDP. It already tells you where this organization stands. Now, if we go down memory lane, Liberal campaign co-director, leading politics after an election. This is talking about Andrew Bevin. You see this right there. Andrew Bevin arrives to Parliament Hill, Ottawa, on Wednesday, November 6, 2024. before. A longtime Liberal staffer, Bevin previously served as the chief of staff of the Paul Martin administration, also worked as secretary to Stefan Dion during his time as the leader of the official opposition. So what do we have here? Trudeau appoints new Liberal campaign director, who is Andrew Bevin, who's a leader of the Justin Trudeau government. And this guy works at his firm. Now that we're caught up, we know exactly where these guys stand.
Let me talk to you first about your reaction to waking up to the news that essentially Venezuela no longer has a president, and that president is on his way to the United States.
I have to say, after years and years of seeing the damage that Nicolas Maduro did to his country and to the people of his country, the terrible repression, the crimes against humanity that he committed, there is certainly a tremendous sense of relief that he's gone.
Oh, okay, so we're off to a good start here. You know, crimes against humanity, he's totally a bad guy. Trump totally justified in doing this, right?
Hope for a better Venezuela that begins, but in a terrible, terrible way to bring about this change.
Oh, a terrible way to bring about this change. Venezuela should just keep starving instead of Trump sending in troops.
Again, engineered to be next to no. So there'll be government campaigns like, oh, if you see somebody sleeping outside, call the police on them. So I don't think that they're going to be kind to anybody who is outside of the regime. But Jimmy Dillon, so President Trump is on a posting spree on Truth Social. I can't even keep up reposting. It's all financial fraud and election fraud. Wow, yeah, I got a whole series of tabs to talk about the US. Here's just a little bit of this.
First, the fraud by design. This wasn't an accident. This didn't just happen. It's a system that's designed by the left for people in their social circle. It starts all the way at the top, the federal government, with the Obama administration, promulgated even more by the Biden administration. It runs down to the states, the governors across the country, including Governor Walz and Governor Mills. And even at the local level, you see the bad actors, you read the headlines, you see what's happening right here in Maine, certainly in Minnesota, and having a great post said so far that this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. The other half is financial Armageddon. That's what we're heading for. If you don't think that the Trump administration is serious about getting a handle on this, you're probably not. This is going to have implications for the state of Maine in the billions with a B of dollars. This will spell financial Armageddon for our state. We have got to get a handle on this one.
And Canada has not yet digested what this means for our oil industry, our oil, our expectations about oil, the money that oil will bring in. So absolutely wild and crazy stuff. Derek says video has been released showing Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro arriving in the United States. Remember when Trump was drinking water and he had the prison-style drinking, he was holding the glass up real weird, and people were like, what's going on with that? Maduro's got that same thing now, and he's doing the same thing. And he looks like a fighter walking in. It's one of them. I watched this, I was like, man, I'm watching some these guys walking in for prize fight or something. So there you go, he's being locked in. His wife is not with him, so his wife is somewhere else, and they're not making a show of his wife being locked in. Just that's interesting. Here is Paul. He says Maduro is being flown by helicopter to the detention center in Portland, where he'll be protest. The process is great because he's a socialist, and so is Benny, and Benny powers and stuff like that. That's the point where so, or I have other questions, but you're probably not landing it in Europe, so why center the case there? And putting the socialists in New York jail where Mandini can't do a damn thing about it, sure, that's
This is all
something you can do,
propaganda.
that's fine.
They said,
But
we're running the show now.
stacking cases
We've
that
not
you
been
lose
elected
because you
to
give
do
it to
so.
a
So you
what's
talk
an
about the
appointed judge, like
Democratic
a deep
re-elected
state appointed
president.
judge, are you planning on,
Trump hasn't been elected to do so.
if you don't
Neither has
impeach
Maduro.
rogue judges,
Maduro
they're going to
didn't
screw
step
things
down.
up, right?
They're
Like there's been all
defending
sorts of
Maduro.
bad judgments
You can't make
that the
this crap
judges
up.
have
Judge who's not in the country.
moved forward with
The
because they're
vice
ideologically
president
captured.
of the country who has seemingly been sworn in to lead for the time being. And then you have Machado, who is widely regarded, at least in the West, as a possible alternative. But in all of this, where are ordinary Venezuelans? How did this country go from being arguably the wealthiest in Latin America with that tremendous oil reserves, so progressive, so forward-moving, to where it is right now?
That's a very long story, and it has a lot to do with overdependence on oil, on any one product that has such a wildly fluctuating price in international markets is always a bad idea. Most countries that depend entirely or heavily on oil tend to be dictatorships. It's a bad product to base your economy on if you want to be a democracy.
That's right, folks. If you have a lot of oil in your country, it'll automatically be a dictatorship, according to this buffoon. So let's clarify this guy's wild statement here. So basically, if a country has a lot of oil, then it can make a lot of money, and it's not reliant on taxpayers' money. Thus, then they wouldn't need to have elections if the government can just stay in power with oil money. That's what he's trying to say here, but in reality, that's not every nation that has a lot of oil. Here we've got crude oil production in America, not a dictatorship. Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy, dictatorships, but Russia's a liberal authoritarian state. Canada, not a dictatorship. China is a one-party authoritarian state, it's a dictatorship. Iraq has a weak democracy right now. Brazil has democracy. United Arab Emirates is an absolute monarchy, so essentially dictatorship. Kuwait has monarchy with limited parliament, so essentially dictatorship. Kazakhstan, authoritarian-leaning regime, so you can say dictatorship. Norway is a democracy. Mexico, democracy. Libya is a fragmented state. Qatar is an absolute monarchy. Further down here, we've got United Kingdom, democracy. Australia, democracy. Argentina, Colombia, India, Ecuador, and Malaysia all have weakened democracies. Some of them have some corruption compromise, but they're democracies nonetheless. Either way, his blanket statement here is ridiculous. Clearly, it's not all dictatorships for countries with oil.
But in the more recent past, what I would say is that after the disastrous decisions that the Maduro government took in the management of their difficult economic situation, it's the economic policies of the Maduro government that have devastated the lives of Venezuelans and created the largest mass movement of humans in our hemisphere in its history. And so they are quite widely in support of a democratic transition. There are very, very few Venezuelans that have any time of day for Maduro. He's really hated.
Yeah, exactly. What's the problem here, guys? Does Mark Carney need something else to run on here? Donald Trump's so scary he's going to come steal all our water and our land. He's going to steal it all. Mark Carney's next election campaign, and he'll be the banker to come save Canada again. This is what they're going to try to run, but it's not going to work because people already know Mark Carney can't get a deal. He's a failure.
In this country and within the international diaspora of Venezuelans, they do very strongly support Hugo González. They voted in record numbers for him. And please note that Maria Corina Machado is an ally of González. She told Venezuelans, if you like me, vote for González. And her statement this morning is that it's González that should be the president, not her. On this note, it's even more alarming that President Trump, having authorized this military intervention to remove a government, is not showing support for the democratically elected president of the country.
And they're just trying to spin this any which way they can. Trump has liberated Venezuelans, but he's not shown support for the government yet. Yeah, they're working out a plan because they don't want to just jump at it right away. They didn't know exactly how this was going to go. They thought they'd have to do 2 runs at it to get Maduro. They got him on the first go. Here on CBC, more fear-mongering. Donald Trump's so bad. Let's just pull back and think about this logically for a second. If they went to Edmundo, who won the election 2 years ago, and the American administration said, hey, we're going to go capture Maduro. Do you want to be leader of Venezuela? Well, then that might get out and tip it off to Maduro. Thus, they did this without telling anyone. And there was no leaks on this. Why would they tell anyone about what they're doing here? And jeopardize the mission. That's why this is still up in the air. I'm sure they haven't communicated with him at all because this all had to be done in secret to get Maduro. CBC is teeing up Mark Carney's next election run here. They're trying to paint this narrative here that Donald Trump is going to just run around the world and take over any country that he wants, and he's going to come for Canada and steal our potash and our oil and our water. Meanwhile, he just did a deal with Belarus to get potash, doing his thing here with Venezuela for oil. So clearly he doesn't want to do a deal with Mark Carney. If he was going to come annex us, he would have already done it. He would go through all this other trouble. This is a narrative that CBC is helping push for Mark Carney for the next election. The Liberals can't run on their record because it's absolutely abysmal, so they have to run on fear again, trying to scare the left into voting for Mark Carney. And unfortunately for him, Canadians are realizing he's a failure. He hasn't been able to get a deal with Donald Trump. His elbows up campaign is a sham. He will desperately try to use the fear of Donald Trump taking over Canada to try to get a majority government. It's not going to work. This fear campaign is too close to the last one, and Canadians have already started to wake up.
That, I think, should lead us to have great suspicion for the true intentions of the United States.
Oh, so dangerous, so scary that the United States saving Venezuelans who are all cheering in the streets.
The digital overdose response system is a way for Albertans using opioids or other substances to get emergency help if they become unconscious. Press the
So the Maduro regime is what's called a cartel, the Cartel of the Suns. This all began, these investigations have been ongoing for over 10 years, independently at the Department of Justice. And one of the things Chavez did in the early 2000s is that most countries have cooperation agreements with the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, to stop drug trafficking. South America is a big source of drug trafficking. Why? Because it's mostly produced in Colombia. That's why the U.S. opened military bases there and really fought it hard under the Uribe presidency. And then now under Petro, obviously, it's all going overboard. But Chavez stopped the cooperation with the U.S. government. And that was purposeful. That's because they thought that that was actually their best revenue source. They destroyed the oil industry, so they ran out of oil to steal. But they didn't destroy because it's not government owned, it's the drug trafficking. And so the generals of the Venezuelan military, this is part of how they remain in power, the military is the cartel. And the military knows that if Venezuela were to become a democratic country, obviously, generals cannot be drug kingpins, no matter who comes to power in an election. And that's why they will never give you power peacefully. That's another discussion that we can talk about. But the point is, they became a cartel. They don't mainly produce the drugs there. It's mostly from Colombia, from FARC, ELN, these other military groups. They bring it through Venezuela. And because Venezuela is a narco state, the government itself endorses it. They use government planes to transport drugs. They use all the state infrastructure to do it. Nicolas Maduro's nephews were captured by the DEA in Haiti with kilos of cocaine. They were brought here, they went to trial, were declared guilty, and then Biden pardoned them and sent them back. What? Oh yeah, this happened a few years ago under Biden. It was all part of an exchange for American prisoners. And he released the nephews of the dictator. This is how high up it is. How close do you want to get? It's his own family. So that is why they do it, because it's a big source of revenue. It's a way to create a clientele of people in power that have the weapons to remain in power.
And how much cocaine, do we know how much cocaine is being trafficked from Venezuela to the United States?
So my understanding is that it's about 20% of the cocaine that gets to the United States comes from Venezuela. It's not a majority, but it's a huge portion. And but I don't know how credible it is, the amounts. But it really comes from Colombia. That's where it's produced. Venezuela helps with the transportation. Part of it also goes to Europe. It's not all to the United States. Goes through the islands of the Caribbean, sometimes on flights, sometimes on boats, like the boats we've seen that stricken in the Caribbean, and then ultimately also in Mexico, right?
Well, these boats that have been destroyed by U.S. strikes, so are they narco boats? What do we know about?
I am certain that they are. I have no. So one of the things is, right now there's a very lively discussion in the United States over whether this is legal, whether this is cool, whether it's becoming too much trial. Look, Look, I can tell you, at least me personally, as a Venezuelan, I fully support the Trump administration's strikes on drug lords in the community. And the overwhelming majority of Venezuelans even post on their personal social media jokes about it. They love it. They're like, another one bites the dust. Because this is part of what keeps the regime in power. Now, are there strikes which will overthrow Maduro by themselves, striking votes? No. More will need to be done. But is it a good thing because these people are evil and have destroyed our country? Yes.
Well, there's something strange I found because, look, this episode might go out a fair while after the events that we're discussing, and by this point it might all be legal or illegal or, whatever.
Right.
But I just thought it was quite weird the way the media covered it, because they were like, well, one of the people who was hit, was a fisherman, and you're going, well, drug cartels will use fishermen to drive boats.
No, wait. That person, who was, by the way, Colombian, that fisherman, was a convicted armed trafficker in Colombia.
Right.
Are you telling me that he reformed himself, went to a drug trafficking route to fish?
Right. And
That sounds fishy.
Well, that sounds fishy. But even if that isn't the case, I mean, just because there was one fisherman on a boat doesn't mean it's not a narco law. I mean, drug cartels probably don't have boat training camps. They just get a guy who has a boat or who knows how to. It's kind of silly.
Now, you might say, well, Daniel, but is death really a solution, right? I'm going to tell you why this is the appropriate. It's the appropriate strategy because the drug trafficking in Latin America, and especially in Mexico and Colombia, it is tied to terrorism. How do you think FARC and ELN, the terrorist designated groups by the United States, I'm not even talking about the Cartel of the Suns yet.
Sorry, Daniel, there's a lot of people who won't know what FARC is and won't know what ELN is. So let's just give us a bit of background and then come back to
the FARC and ELN are Colombian militias that occupy large portions of Colombia, do bomb attacks, kidnap people. They have kidnapped even presidential candidates in Colombia, and they extort businesses in the region. And they are funded through drug trafficking. But do you think Hezbollah even gets funded too? Hezbollah also receives money from drug trafficking. The terrorist groups have found out that the most profitable way to make money is drug trafficking and other criminal activity. It's like the mob did the alcohol and the prostitution and all these things together. It's the same thing the terrorists do. So when you strike the drug trafficking, you strike the funding source of terrorism.
That's really, really interesting. And the other thing I was going to ask you is, one of the things that I think is probably under-discussed is the extent to which Venezuela is working with hostile regimes to the United States.
Absolutely. So Chavez became very good friends with Mahmoud Ahmadinejad when he was president of Iran. Iranians are still very good allies of their current regime. Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping. I mean, Russia and China gave him billions and billions of loans. And then they said, okay, let's hope to prop them up. Because with these regimes, having Venezuela there is both a platform to attack the United States, but also to bother the United States. They know that the drug trafficking kills Americans and harms the West. Why not support them? They know that Maduro and Chavez before him funded communist parties in other countries, including Petro in Colombia, including Podemos in Spain, by the way, the far-left party there, that is in power. So it is a very cost-effective way to just fight an asymmetric war against the West. And yeah, so I would say it is a big problem. I don't know if you remember that when they tried to kidnap the Iranian dissident here in New York City, these armed assassins. The objective was kidnapping, but the other option was assassination. The plan was actually to take her to Caracas, not to Iran directly. It was much closer. That's because the Iranian regime cooperates with the majority. The first lady and the president of Iran came recently to Venezuela. It was a really funny video. She came in a full black burqa, and then when she was coming out of the plane, Venezuela played the Star Wars song as she was coming down. Because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And that's the tragedy of Venezuela, is that it's become completely corrupted. And it's essentially now a vessel for the Iranian regime, but it's also got links to China as well.
Well, absolutely. The Chinese supported Chavez with loans. They are still present. I mean, part of how the oil is extracted today in Venezuela is Iranian, Chinese, and Russian companies. Because the Maduro regime wasn't able to do it themselves, and they were like, hey, let's bring you all of this. So it's really funny when the far leftists in the United States and other countries say that, oh, this is the United States that wants to overthrow Maduro because of the oil. The oil is being taken by Russia, by China, and by Iran. What are you talking about? Where do you think the Venezuelan gasoline comes from? It comes from Iran. They take the oil there, bring the gasoline back. The Iranians, I mean, those are the imperialist countries that intervene in Venezuela. It's Cuba that did. Venezuelans want to have peaceful, free relations with the United States, like it used to be. The refineries all along Texas used to be designed to bring Venezuelan heavy oil and refine it there. That's what they're designed to do. And if anything, the Maduro regime has destroyed oil production. Venezuela used to produce 3.5 to 4 million barrels a day. Now it produces less than 1 million, about 500,000.
And it represents a very real security threat to the United States. Because I was talking to one of my cousins, and he was saying that there's Hezbollah training camps on the island of Margarita.
You see now people in broadcast, you see a lot of Islamists in Venezuela. And look, people, you might understand that Muslims are immigrating to rich countries because it's a better place to live. Nobody's immigrating to Venezuela because it's a better place to live. How did they show up? Yeah, because they work for Iran. That's what they say.
so that I may be filled with joy. He says, for I am mindful of the sincere faith with it.
Welcome to Space Orthodontics YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. We got to talk about peak stupidity. We've hit peak stupidity not only in Canada, but around the world after the liberation of Venezuela. I can't even believe we have to talk about this, and I can't believe the left is losing their minds in condemning President Donald Trump for his successful liberation of Venezuela by arresting Maduro, by removing Maduro from Venezuela. Now, this is going to cost Canada, and if I were Canada, I'd be watching their mouths right now on what they're doing. Pierre Poilievre is going to take a huge lead in the polls. We need to talk about this because things just got real in Canada. All day yesterday, I saw post after post after post of lefties absolutely losing it, saying that Trump is a thug, that he's an authoritarian, that he's the dictator, that you can't just come in and take whatever you want. How dare you do this to Venezuela? The people of Venezuela are so hard done by. Take a look at this video. This is the response from the people who were just liberated from socialism. Remember this the next time some NDP or liberal a-hole promises utopia if you vote for them. Do these look like oppressed people to you? Man, how dare President Trump put these people in a celebratory mood? How dare he help out? Look at this. Here's more. Here's more of Venezuela. Last night, the streets are full. People celebrating, people rejoicing that Maduro is gone. Oh, guys, it's so rough over there. They're so. Why would President Trump do this to Venezuela? Right? How dare he? How dare he remove a dictator from Venezuela? Like, they got the American flags out. They're all cheering. God bless Donald Trump. God bless President Trump. You had trucks going through in Florida, in West Palm Beach. A lot of people praising President Donald Trump, unless, of course, you're in the left wing, the left prostitute media. There's the hands-off Venezuela protest that took place in New York City. So they capture a dictator, and you have people sympathizing with Maduro. Here's a little bit of exposed from Wall Street H. The hands-off Venezuela protest taking place in New York City supporting Maduro is being organized by the People's Forum. The People's Forum, by the way, is an NGO that has received over $20 million from a billionaire who lives in China with ties to the CCP. The NGO's primary funding, over $20 million, was Neville Roy Singham. Singham's residence is in Shanghai. His business ties are to the CCP. He attends CCP-related events. He funds media outlets echoing Chinese state narratives. People actually gathered en masse in New York to condemn Donald Trump, President Trump, for doing this in Venezuela, for bringing happiness and peace to Venezuela. There was no war, by the way, folks. We didn't have to send U.S. troops there. We didn't have to send troops from other militaries over there. Trump went in very swiftly, and it was done in less than 2 hours. Less than 2 hours. Here's the thing. This is where you know. When we talk about reaching peak stupidity, it's not just gathering in New York to protest. Nate Friedman was out in New York. He says, I showed a no war with Venezuela protester how Venezuelans are celebrating the streets. Brain.exe stopped working. Take a look at this clip. this just really skews the narrative for you as to how detached from reality these people really are.
You should check out that communist Bible where brings you out here today. Where I'm organized with the Revolutionary Communists of America. We're out here to say hands off Venezuela, and we unequivocally stand with the people of Venezuela against U.S. imperialist aggression.
What do you think about the people of Venezuela celebrating on the streets?
What?
What do you think about the people of Venezuela celebrating on the streets today?
I saw images of Venezuelans being bombed after the U.S. bombed Caracas, so I'm not sure what you're talking about, but yeah, I think you should definitely
show me the bombings that you're talking about. I didn't see it.
I don't know, I just saw it on Reddit. It was on the front page of the
Reddit. Okay. Well, what do you think about?
I just saw it on the internet, so that means it's true, right? I saw it on Reddit as he stands with his communist newspaper. I don't know if you guys saw the old communist logo. He holds it up right here. The old hammer and sickle. Oh, I almost had it. You can see it here where it says the communist. Yeah, I'm just here supporting the current thing because the internet told me to, right? I'm here to support the current thing. Here's where it gets real.
I have yet to see. Can you show me that?
Yeah.
U.S. imperialism.
What do you think about that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I stand with the people of Venezuela against U.S. imperialism. The U.S. has no right to bomb the people of Venezuela. The U.S. has no right to kidnap.
I stand with the people of Venezuela, yet they're celebrating in the street, so I'm just going to keep saying, this is all about President Trump. Trump...
real reason you're stiff after sitting.
You can live a very long time without.
Neuropathy is destroying your days and nights, but you don't have to accept it. There is an...
Hello, apologies for interrupting your video. If you've ever thought about releasing an online course for
New York, because realtors and developers have been outspoken about New York's new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, and his plans to freeze the rent and change tax and building codes that could deter investments in New York City. Get enhanced access to this on that.
KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than 30.
The void did not simply shake, it screamed. It was a sound beyond sound, a frequency that shattered the laws of physics governing the 12 universes. Goku, the anomaly, the being who had defied angels and shattered the Grand Priest domain, had done the unthinkable. He had not merely touched the divine, he had consumed it. The seventh Super Dragon Ball, a construct the size of a planet compressed by the impossible density of his will, vanished down his throat. Silence followed, but it was the silence of a star moments before it goes supernova. Inside the Saiyan's body, reality was being rewritten. The immense, wish-granting radiation of the Super Dragon Balls was not meant for biological containment. His skin, once covered in the rugged red scales of the primal dragon, began to fracture. Beams of blinding, multicolored light pierced through the cracks in his flesh, turning him into a living constellation of agony. He was no longer a warrior, he was a walking singularity, a bomb composed of absolute magic threatening to wipe existence clean. High above Zalama, the dragon god creator watched with eyes that held eons of wisdom and a sudden heartbreaking resolve. The vessel was strong, but the power was infinite. Without a soul capable of governing eternity, the Saiyan would not become a king. He would become a cataclysm to witness the birth of the Platinum Dragon King and the ultimate sacrifice that forged him. Anchor your soul to this timeline. Subscribe now, and let the legend of the true Dragon God unfold before your eyes. The act was done. The throat burned, not with the heat of fire, but with the friction of a collapsing galaxy. Goku had not merely swallowed power, he had ingested the very concept of possibility. The 7 Super Dragon Balls, shrunk by the desperate compression of his will, now sat within the furnace of his stomach, no longer distinct orbs, but a singular churning singularity of magic. For a heartbeat, there was silence in the Forbidden Realm. A pause so profound it felt as though the multiverse itself had held its breath, waiting to see if the laws of existence would hold. They did not. The scream did not begin in Goku's lungs. It began in the fabric of space around him. The air twisted, buckling under a sudden, impossible gravitational crushing weight. Goku's body, currently clad in the rough, jagged crimson scales of the Red Dragon God, stiffened. He floated in the void, arms outstretched, his head thrown back, as his pupils, vertical reptilian slits, dilated until the crimson iris was swallowed by an abyss of black. Then the light came. It did not glow from his skin. It tore through it. A beam of blinding prismatic radiance erupted from the center of his chest, shattering the red scales like cheap ceramic. Then another from his shoulder, another from his thigh. The containment vessel of his mortal biology was failing. The energy of the Super Dragon Balls was never meant to be contained within a living host. It was the power to rewrite reality, to erase universes, to grant the impossible. Now that infinite potential was raging against the finite cage of Saiyan flesh. Goku tried to move, to clench his fists and force the energy down as he had done with the Kaioken or the God forms, but his nervous system was no longer his own. He was not feeling pain. Pain is a warning signal for the living, and Goku was rapidly transcending the biological definition of life. He was feeling unmaking. Every cell in his body was being destroyed and recreated 1 trillion times a second. He felt his bones turning into stardust, his blood turning into liquid mana, and then snapping back into flesh, only to be destroyed again. It was a cycle of agony that stretched seconds into eons. The red dragon scales, which had allowed him to slaughter the lower angels, began to liquefy. They dripped from his body like molten wax, sizzling as they vanished into the void. Beneath the melting armor, his skin was translucent, glowing with the terrifying. It was not a trial, it was a disposal. The Omni King's palace, usually a realm of playful chaos and infinite color, had been reduced to a terrifying, sterile silence. There was no shouting, no clashes of energy, not even the whisper of a plea. There was only the hum of high angel law manifesting as a golden, geometric lattice that tightened around Son Goku's body, forcing him to his knees on the marble floor. Goku struggled, his muscles bulging as he tried to flare his ki, but the energy dissipated the moment it left his skin. He looked up, his eyes searching desperately for the one person who could stop this. "Zen-chan!" Goku shouted, his voice cracking under the immense pressure of the gravity seal. "Zen-chan, tell them we're friends!" But the Omni King sat upon his floating throne, completely still. Zeno's eyes were wide, unblinking, fixed on Goku with a look of absolute terror. His small hands gripped the armrest, crawled up his forearms, locking over his shoulders like the closing of a heavy gate. These were not merely scales, they were crystallized rejection of the void itself. An angel guard draped in the pristine, blinding white robes of the Grand Priest's elite execution squad flickered into existence 10 feet away. The guard raised a staff tipped with the violet light of
peering into the void of the sky towards the earth. A few seconds later, in the same room, the door opened without making the slightest sound. A mysterious woman entered. Her face did not show, but her presence weighed more heavily than the place itself.
All this story would begin at the end of the Battle of Goku against Frieza, because an elite ship of forces of Frieza, Goku would reach Yagrat, and there the inhabitants came to his aid, realizing all the wounds on his body. By the same planet, a beautiful angel haunting Universe 7 realized that he had arrived. What happened to the warrior? By his physique, I could tell that he's a warrior in his totality, but he took a beating. The fallen angel named Nin would use her ability of her eye, which would be seen by all the strengths and weaknesses of Goku. She'd be surprised to realize that in her veins ran pure energy, which would attract the attention of Nin. All the 16 universes turned their back on me, but even if my home universe had been destroyed by Zeno-sama, I'm not interested, though I've seen as a scum of 12 universes currently, I want revenge, and this saint will help me with my mission. Nin with great speed would hold Goku and move to another planet, and when they arrived, Nin with power would heal Goku's wounds, and would inject a little of her blood into the energy of Goku's internal system. Multiple rays were scattered around him, and the power that Nin gave him was more than the body of Saiyan had ever had in existence, receiving the training of a divine being. Wow, I didn't expect this. Apparently the talent of this Saiyan is all his energy veins. Apparently he hasn't been able to withstand even 2% of my power. This only made it more interesting. Goku would wake up eventually, finding himself confused since he wasn't able to realize where he was. Where am I? I thought I managed to place the coordinates of Earth. Due to the serious injuries my body had, I wasn't able to place them right. Goku would get in a battle close, hearing steps behind him, and when he turned, he was petrified to realize the aura that would rise. Goku would receive a little of Nin's power as well as blood. He managed to see the limit of Nin's power and tremble. I don't know who you are. Your aura is terrifying, capable of cutting off my breath. I won't let you in my life easily. I'm a Saiyan warrior. Goku would put himself in a battle pose. Nin would give a smile and try to decrease the aura, which would be difficult to have aura on the defensive. After a few moments, he would decrease it a little. I'm sorry if my aura terrified you. That wasn't my intention. I healed your wounds and I want you to be my partner. Goku, noticing the threatening aura of Nin had decreased a little, would relax, while approaching the same way to Nin. Thank you for healing my wounds, since the battle of the evil Emperor Frieza was able to leave me on the verge of death. Tell me, how can I help you? In what way do you want me to be your partner? Although you haven't awakened your power beyond a god, much less that of a guardian angel, I've been able to share a little of my power blood with you. And now if you would be a fallen angel like me,
power will increase amazingly. You'll get the divine transformations. Everything you tell me is great. I just don't know how I can help you. If I want to fight with you, I'm sure that my power is 10 times greater than mine. Frieza used to call himself the Emperor of Evil, who would be a match for you. Believe it or not, there are warriors more powerful than me. Looking at my head, without your help, I won't be able to defend myself. I don't have companions. I can't let them into your life. I don't have the power like yours. I'll do everything I can, though, to protect you, even if it costs my life. Dean would blush before being able to say anything. A nebula of dark energy would cover the planet, and surprisingly, the gravity would fall on everyone. Dean would change her gaze to a much more serious one, and was not affected by gravity, unlike those who would fall into the ground and not able to move. Well, you were on this planet. I'm surprised a powerful woman of the 18 universes here would have no divine energy. You'd fall in love, Dean. Typo, I never thought you'd be able to betray me. After everything you knew, you paid for me, you worm. Seriously, that's not personal, Dean. But the reward for your injustice is so I couldn't help find you and having trained myself. I'll be able to find you even though you hide your energy completely. It's something you taught me. It'll cost your life now. Sorry, but end of life of you has come. Don't even think you'll be able to end my life. I'll show you how I'll be a top of being a traitor. I'll even give you the life of the 18 universes. You damn people turned your back on me. I don't want to hear your words. You better shut up. Yaiba, with incredible speed, would hit Need, being able to make her fall on the ground. The whole planet was sealed and with the intention that Need would not be able to escape. I thought you were more powerful. You're not the same as before. I can't believe we defeated it with move. This can't be happening. I gave my life for the 18 universes. I never asked for my blood to be corrupted by the energy of a demon god. But the ones who are really confused are you, since the blood doesn't define a person. You're cursed. I don't care. Since your pure blood was corrupted by the demon god, you can't be considered an angel. For that reason, the divine kingdom has ordered that we completely end your existence. Even though I managed to escape Universe 15, it's enough of survival. This is my end. He would lower her head, not having enough energy to fight, and the physical power of the opponent was 10 times greater. That's what I like. No more problems. Give me your head. I'll be able to get the reward of Daishaken. My power will grow. Yaiba, carrying a large sphere of energy, was sent flying with incredible brutality. Yaiba was flying through the power of that blow, and the speed that hit him would be beastly. Yaiba was trying to do something and couldn't cover himself or raise his power, was caught off guard with a kick that was sent to the bottom of the planet. Before he could recover, a gigantic sphere of negative energy approached Yaiba, which was trying to escape. Much more powerful barrier would not allow him to. Yaiba, using all his powers, was armor of the Celestial Kingdom, would be able to withstand such an attack. The smoke of the explosion did not allow to see the attacker who had been, and in the same way, on the top of the planet, Red Eyes could see the whole planet beginning to freeze. The expansion of dominance was that of a warrior, where Need was on the verge of death, not understanding what happened. Need, you're a liar. I thought you were completely alone on this planet. Warriors were powerful than us together. I didn't think you could end my life so easily. Need didn't know this, and didn't even cross her mind that it was Goku, since his power was far from the divine level, much less one of the face of four celestials, which were on a scale of power even more higher than a guardian angel. But both were surprised to see a small explosion would form, because Goku falling sharply to the ground, finding himself in front of Yaiba. Goku, without saying a word, would dodge each and every one of the blows of his enemy. He would notice that his appearance had completely changed. This time his eyes were a bright green color and fur over his body. Is that Goku? What happened? I'm sure that even though I've granted him a small part of divine energy, he can't increase his powers to that extreme. Even if he has, his divine thinking or higher energy is incredible. Goku, as if a beast, would pounce against Yaiba, and on this occasion try everything against him. He wasn't able to do anything, and on this occasion, blows to Yaiba, granted by Goku, would make him stronger, and that Yaiba would receive overwhelming power. Goku was a beast, and Yaiba, by his head, dragged him by a barrier that was formed. Because this, the scroll would break, and Yaiba, in his last act of desperation, used the forbidden power of the demon gods, leaving Need surprised. You're an imposter, because unlike me, you saw the power of the demon gods to become more powerful. Apparently, that's not something you can use against Goku. So this wretch is Goku. I didn't think you had demonic power. I'm not interested, since the higher-ups don't sense my demonic energy being sealed in a steel space. beyond phase of divine energy. I agree, it's a pity. Goku has demonic power and his power grows, and he'll be able to devour all your demonic power, leaving nothing of you. Yaiba would feel a chill in his body, and Goku would connect him with a big kick while his arms would regenerate. I'm surprised that Goku could use this, since many days it's been since I gave him a little of my power that would take him to the limit. I'm sure that would be the help of Goku since he can have revenge on that he's longed for. Goku as a beast, he was in that state, was able to dismember Yaiba. Legs would fall all over the battlefield, and in the same way he continued to beat him brutally. After a few seconds, Goku would stare at him. Yaiba, despite using the demonic power, wasn't able to do anything against that monster, and was terrified when he heard the following. This isn't even a battle, but you make me hungry. I want all the demonic power inside you. I'll feed on your soul. Yaiba, with his last strength, would try to escape, but couldn't. All over the place, an aura would materialize, absorbing the power of Yaiba as well as his own vital energy. And a large pool of blood could be seen as that of Yaiba's. Goku, is that you? Are you okay? I appreciate it, but what happened? He, without receiving an answer, was attacked due to the power she had absorbed. Her speed was slower, and he would dodge a blow with difficulty. She realized that the fountain on her back would disintegrate, and Nina would get in a battle pose, noticing Goku's appearance was normal, as his power decreased. That's right, Goku would fall out of combat. What the hell? How was he able to get that power? I'm not able to assimilate it. We must train it, because if Goku gets more powerful, he gets out of control, he can end my life. On Beerus' planet, Whis would walk all over the planet of the God of Destruction, feeling the vital energy of one of the four Celestials disappeared. Well, I didn't expect this. This required the power to finish one of the four Celestials. Apparently, the first two of us Archangels have to look out in case the four Celestials are eliminated. One of the three most powerful powers in the 12 universes. Above the Celestials were the Trident Archangels, beings of the level of Supreme Priest. On the planet of Beerus, where Whis was walking over the planet with Beerus, a slightly serious look was the one of death of the Celestials. It was incredible because not even a God of destruction had the power to defeat a Celestial. This is the highest level of alert. I've been thinking about this since yesterday and today, and I'm not able to understand how a mortal or a God can defeat a Celestial. I reported to this Beerus. Whis would head towards the God of destruction, waking him up. Beerus would wake up in a terrible temper, and Beerus would expel a great power, upset having been awakened by his angel. What's the matter? What's the reason you woke me up? I hope it's something important, and I swear I'll destroy this whole solar system. Mr. Beerus, when the Celestials died, precisely his last trace of life has been on our universe, on a planet far away. Beerus' expression would change, with horror in his entire body, because the Celestials were supposed to be warriors of great power, which even among the 12 gods of destruction couldn't do anything, and these beings were blessed with the power of the universe. Their power came from the solar system, the planets, and they were able to use 100% of their power. And because of that, it was impossible for God to defeat them. The only ones who had the power to were Daishaken and a trio of angels, but no angel was able to do anything against those beings. Hey, are you sure? It's impossible because the universe that hasn't been you has been managed in the life of a Celestial. For that very reason, I woke you up, Mr. Beerus. As it's too strange, my lord. We have to find out what happened on the planet to make you stop this energy of the Celestial. Of course, we have to report it to Daishaken. Whis with Beerus would head towards the planet where a battle was taking place. A fallen angel named and noticed the two divine energies were heading towards them. No! A terrible moment! These guys are coming! I'm sure it must be because of the death of Yaiba, but even he wasn't said to carry the demonic energy that dispelled any of the angelic realm. You and Goku won't be left to another dimension, and for that fact, he was known as the goddess of space and time. I doubt they can cross dimensions. I don't want any danger. For that reason, I'll create hundreds of alternate dimensions. Me using a large part of her power will create alternate dimensions, making it impossible for the energy of the divine beings who were behind them while their dimensional shift. He would arrive at the inhospitable planet on the outskirts of the 12 universes and was thoughtful. This warrior Goku, I know his family well. Even though he longs to return to Earth, I have turned him into a fallen angel as I am, and the great power has been able to wake up. I need him to survive. I can't let him leave as if nothing. I have to erase each of his memories so that between us, we can end everything created. Nin would move towards Goku, but when he was a few steps away, Nin would fall on her knees with blood vomiting out, and the vision would become blurry. Apparently, excess energy started on its toll on me. I erased all the memories Goku has. I'll have to rest. Because of my mental power, if I require more power, I've set it to multiple dimensions. Nin would begin to meditate, and the intention of increasing her power was trying to stabilize it. On Universe 7, Beerus and Whis arrived, which the battle was taking place, and realized everything was destroyed.
The digital overdose response system is a way for Albertans using opioids or others.
Whis began to navigate and investigate everything around him, but they couldn't find anything. They both were looking for clues, and a portal would form where the great priest Daishinkan would come, and Beerus would bow, making the most embellished greetings of all the 12 universes. So apparently you have the power of one life of the Celestials to come to an end. Strange. I would inform you, since in the existence something has never happened. Okay, Father, the only thing we need to find is that barrier that Celestial Yaibo himself placed. But you don't know who he was fighting. It's strange. It'd be better for the Celestials, Trident of Archangels, to be ready. Of course, Father, I will communicate to other Archangels in case it gets more complicated. I want to eliminate him. I am sure that the tip of this iceberg, and the plan is more than this. I agree. I'll come to this planet, otherwise everything will be terrible. I want all of the gods to be attentive. In a few moments, I will give a statement. Daishinkan would go to the King of the Xeno-sama, his gaze reflected a great concern for everything that happened. Whis and Beerus would return to their planet, and on the planet of Nin, a few days passed, where Nin would recover all of her power, and Goku didn't wake up due to the extra power his body endured. It amazes me the physical strength of that warrior. I'm sure that any other mortal would have exploded, and that God would be able to withstand the power Goku would release. Let's do it now. Nin executing her mental power would erase all the memories of Goku's life, and replacing several of those memories with herself. Since all of her memories she was creating, Nin was next to Goku. But while Nin was executing her technique, power would emanate from his body, and mental capacity evolved. Damn, the mental power Goku has to get the power of the fallen angel rejects me. I must be able to change his memories. I'm sure if I don't, Goku will help. Nin would expel power, sending neurons to Goku's body. His internal system would stop working, and Nin would take advantage of managing to eliminate his memories entirely. It's tiring. I can't believe the power Goku has. He has such great mental power, but I'm sure that his power can reach a state beyond this. I must make the most today. On Earth, Goku's friends tried to communicate with Goku, but it was impossible, and Frieza and his father arrived on the Earth. Not a mysterious subject of the entire Earth had been reduced to atoms of the universe. This is too strange. In my time, like Goku, took about 3 hours to get here. I'm sure something got in his way. I have to return. I must warn Piccolo. Trunks would inform everything that happened to the androids. In the span of 3 years, at the time of ending all the information, he would leave on his own. I've got to report everything that happened. I doubt that guy's telling lies. What happened, Goku? It's not common for you to do this. Daishinkan was walking over the palace. Xeno-sama would see Daishinkan's gaze, requesting his presence. Daishake would appear in front of Xeno-sama, bowing. What happened, Xeno-sama? What's the reason for this call?
I see your expression has changed, and you being a return to Universe 7. It's strange that something makes you more serious. Tell me, Daishake, what happened to make you so nervous?
Daishake would explain the whole situation, and the king of all Xeno-sama and his guardians changed his expression to a serious one. This is impossible. How is it possible and capable of ending the life of a Celestial or the Archangels? That said, one of them fell to the Celestials. I don't know who to believe. I can't assimilate it the best way. We just got to be alert, otherwise everything will go downhill.
I want you to inform all the gods that's happening. I want the Slight Stand to be watched. Total control of the universes.
Of course. I'll communicate to the gods and angels. Daishake, with his great mental power, will report everything to them. And on the planet of where Nin was, Goku was there about 3 weeks would wake up. His character hadn't changed, and he was completely forgetting the existence of his family and friends.
What happened, Nin? I have mental gaps. I'm just trying to figure out the end of our existence. I don't know if that really happened or if it's a dream. Goku, everything was a dream. Reality, you were able to protect me. I don't know if you could release all that power, but you left me surprised. I'm grateful. Wow, so all that happened. Don't worry, I will give my life for you. Tell me, do you know who that guy was that was attacking? I don't get it. How I've been able to overcome it? According to what I remember you told me about the gods. When we met, it was a fallen angel, and the damned divine kingdom wanted to end my existence. Although at the time of my life, for them to answer the second question, I don't know how you can release all that power. Your body as a motor should have exploded. It only makes me want to be more powerful. I can, and I'll train to form that of a fallen angel. I definitely understand, Goku, and I'm scared to death knowing that you surpass the moral of an angel. Hey, I'm saying, we warriors have a fallen angel, and I know that my power will increase. I don't know. I have hundreds of emotions, but I really appreciate it. We gotta focus on controlling your fallen angel power, or better known as the demon gods. Goku in his space state meditated, and rays were around him. And he would be surprised to see that Goku would close his fists with his hair of a golden color. Nin, not knowing the Saiyan rays, saw it as a variant of demon power. Goku would roar, releasing his power of Super Saiyan, and although it was just an ordinary Super Saiyan, he possessed the power compared to Super Saiyan 3 full power. Wow, that's amazing! Your power's been able to multiply dozens of times. It's not the transformation you use, Jaibo, it's another. It's Super Saiyan. I went to first master my main transformation and try to access it. After you inform me, I want to possess great resistance in my body. Understand, I will also start training. I don't want to burden you. In fact, I want to help you work against those wretches in the Divine Kingdom. In Xenosama's palace, we see Xeno thoughtful. A great pressure would fall on the palace. Can't take this lightly. I'll have to get the Legion of Angels support. Since they're warriors, there are angels who surpass my power, though I was the least limited, otherwise everything be destroyed. Xeno-sama, with his power, would form a pentagram of energy, and formed as entrance of the Celestial Kingdom at the highest level. The entrance would be formed, and a door of light would open. Thousands of angels would be seen, who possess different levels of power, and them, with the angel of the Celestial Kingdom, would fall in front of Xeno-sama. Well, didn't expect this. Xeno-sama, but you're able to invoke the Heavenly Gate. It means you acquire our power. Although I don't want to admit it, you're right. An extremely powerful subject was able to end the life of a Celestial, and I don't think I have the power to defeat him. An incredible power would be released over the place. Akira's power would become present. Akira, the most powerful angel, would make an appearance and would expel an amazing power. Each celestial formed by a part of the archangels, and somehow the power of the Legion of Angels. The death of one of the celestials would cause a fury of Akira. At first, I refused that one of the celestials fallen. Of Akira's full support, you can ask me anything you want to know. Akira, I thank you. My intention was never to depend on you. This is the first time I've bonded you after millions of years. I don't understand how a celestial was able to die
surprises me the most is which Wisp is not able to fight him. Despite his incredible prowess on the battlefield, Wisp possesses great cognitive ability. I don't know about the abilities of angels, much less archangels. In these universes, there have never been warriors with this type of power. Being in an emergency situation, I just turn to their help. I understand, Zeno. You don't have to worry. I will grant you my help. I will grant you the help of 3 archangels from my legion of most powerful angels. I will grant you 3 sacred gods of the most existing universes. Xenosaur would be surprised that these warriors would come from the shadows, and that the air around them would be heavier, as well as the pressure on their body. That's amazing! Even though these warriors don't release their true power, they can release incredible pressure able to overshadow me. The first ones would be put in front of Xenosaur, the 3 sacred gods. Said gods were the first gods of creation. Creator beings were the first kings of the whole. Their appearance was similar to that of the gods of destruction, and its power was incomparable. Since comparing the 12 gods of destruction with a single sacred god, it'd be like a child with an adult. The difference was unreal. So I have to take care of the guy who was able to end the life of one of the Celestials. That'd be interesting. The thousands of years since I had a hunt like this, I want to see what this is all about. Chemist, you have to calm down. You're like the first Saiyan god. Your battle instinct runs through your veins, but don't let the same instinct bring you without thinking. It'll leave you in the grave. Although from behind, the figure was being similar to that of a lion, being able to be seen with hundreds of rays scattered all around them. First of all, a pleasure to meet you, Xenosaur, new ruler of everything existing. Secondly, Chemist, this is not fun. They have been tasked to finish the guy who defeated a Celestial. Chemist would instantly try to deny it and be able to say anything. Grim pressure would fall on Chemist's body. This time, the power of the incredible god Orion was present in the entire legion of angels. These are the sacred gods, since they were the first creator gods and the authentic king of everything, which means they were the first creation of your grandfather. And that very reason they have incredible power. I understand. Thank you. He's able to grant me the power of 3 warriors. I'm sure that the power of these 3 holy gods will suffice. It's not necessary to the 3 of the archangels. I agree, Xenosaur, because we don't compare ourselves to the mighty archangel Akira. We know that this power is enough to finish off a mortal who can finish off a Celestial. I trust you, but in case you see the situation gets complicated, don't hesitate for reinforcements, since the other warriors capable of facing us are being the dark energy or divine power at the highest level. Of course, Akira-sama. Don't worry, I'll be informing you of any situation that happens with Xenosaur multiverse. I wish you the best of luck. You can retire. I'd like to bring out Xenosaur when I enter the Celestial Kingdom. I've been wondering the palace of Xenosaur. Daishaku would feel great tension in the air around him. Heading towards where Xenosaur was, the instant he was there, he'd be surprised by the 3 subjects that were never seen. The simple fact that being in front of them made his body tremble. My lord, who are these guys? Since I'm able to notice how they got caught by blood quickly, I feel about the body shaking. Their motives. Nice to meet you, priest. Guardian of Xenosaur. We introduce ourselves and we are the sacred gods. We are the first existence of creation. Ancestor Xenosaur, we've been given the mission to eradicate the warrior who had the power to end the life of the Celestial. Daishaku's name was terror, as well as incredible admiration. The power the holy gods had found in the very ancient scrolls of Xenosaur's father was not able to meet the holy gods. I introduced myself. I'm Daishaku, Angel Incarnate of Xenosaur. Thank you for your help. We were shocked about what happened in a world being able to end the Celestial. We've never seen it. It was able to outwit the sensory abilities of Wiz. Don't worry, Daishaku.
With Venezuela. How corrupt was Venezuela? We only know. They told me all die.
You love video games. for some people, right? You need to hire David Duckworth. This is all
Hey everybody, it's Chris here from the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mare, Alberta. I was just taking a little bit of time relaxing. Wait till you see how I relax. You're gonna love this. At least if you're around my age. Check this out. Anybody recognize that? You recognize that? That's 8-bit Dragon Warrior 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. What a blast from the past that is. Anyway, when I want to just kind of turn off my brain and forget what's going on in the world and relax a bit, I play a little bit of 1990 or whatever it is, Dragon Warrior. It's fantastic.
Anyway, this is still enough, Dean. I want to master all my power since a warrior who attacked us had the power to finish us. I don't know how I was able to defeat him, but I don't want to put you in danger. I'll become stronger to be able to protect you. I swear I'll give my life for you. My mental technique has worked. I must be grateful that this warrior has not been able to release my divine energy. If that was done, it'd be impossible for me to manipulate him in this way. I know that this Saiyan will destroy all those miserable ones. All this was going through Neen's mind. Being taken out of her thoughts, Goku would access the divine God. That's right, Goku was able to access the state with the side effects incredible, but most of his bones were completely destroyed. I have to release more power than the other times. I gotta master the powers of an ordinary Super Saiyan, and later get the divine energy, and my body can withstand the power of the demonic Saiyan. Goku would get in his base state, returning to meditate. Neen was analyzing everything that happened, thinking of the most feasible way for Goku to get that energy of a god. On the planet of Beerus, the deities were also very thoughtful as they walked over the planet. Hey, do you think that the Celestial was able to be defeated by a mortal? I still think it's impossible. No mortal can defeat a god, much less a Celestial. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. I don't know, Mr. Beerus, but the planet we're on, a big battle's going on. I don't have to give you an answer, but everything is confusing. While on top of them walking on the planet, a portal would be formed where the entire planet of Beerus, the three holy gods, would make an appearance. I did not expect this. I've not been able to show the appearance of the sacred gods, but by their clothes, you must be the first destructive gods of all creation. Apparently the fall of the Celestials generated a great panic. You appear to be the leader of the trident of angels in this universe. Akira-sama has informed us of your abilities being extraordinary. You're truly strong, point in the mind. Despite your great cognitive qualities, you're not able to locate the warrior who ended the life of a Celestial. Apparently they are well informed and they are correct. My cognitive ability is similar to that of the Supreme Angel. I'm not able to locate that warrior because hundreds of dimensional cracks were created on the battlefield. It became impossible for me to detect the true crack. It's no problem. We have to destroy the others, and if they were created by an external power, there's no living beings in those dimensional cracks. The most microscopic organisms are just existing. Although Candace's strong point has never been his cognitive ability, I agree. No matter how much power the subject has, he can't create life. They're only simulations of dimensions, or as Camus said, simply microscopic organisms. Archangel Whis, I ask you in the most cordial way, please guide us to the planet where the great battle was. We'll take care of the rest. Of course, yes, it's no bother. It's a pleasure to serve the Heavenly Kingdom. On Xenosama's palace, Daishinka would appear at Xenosama's side, bowing down, feeling a little less restless. My lord, excuse my impertinence, but do you think the first gods of destruction can locate that warrior? I don't doubt that they're able to end his life. I just doubt they can find him. Since their strong point's not the mind, they just possess overwhelming power. Don't worry. I'm sure they can do something about the situation, because for some reason Akira-sama was able to send them. We will just have to wait for this big problem to develop. On Universe 7, all the deities would arrive towards the planet. They were able to arrive, and the trio of gods would notice the hundreds of alternate dimensions around the planet, and Orochi would smile. His technique was worked for either the warrior, it's a pity. That's precisely the god of destruction, Orochi. The Falcon of Dimensions is his opponent. Beerus would be surprised if they called himself one of the gods of destruction, but not able to see anything, hundreds of dimensions would collapse. One by one, they began to be destroyed, and Neen would notice the dimensions being destroyed. What? How is this possible? None of the 12 universes have the power to destroy the dimensions with this ease. Oh, no, we got to escape. Goku would ignore Neen. Goku, Goku, are you listening? It's time to leave. If we stay here, we'll die. We must leave this place. Nin would not get an answer, but on that instant would hold Goku. The dimension they were in was destroyed, and they were able to enter the deities and the planet where the goddess Nin was. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The demon goddess Nin, you are exiled from the entire divine kingdom. Since the repulsive blood of the demon gods runs through your veins, so you were able to end the life of a celestial. Nin would get in a battle pose, and the trio of gods would overshadow her. Goku would meditate, Camus with great speed would hold Nin by the neck, Nin kicking and punching couldn't get rid of his grip. The smile was malicious, and between the whole place the breeze of the air would resonate, an imposing voice would be heard. I ask you in the nicest way possible, release Nin. I don't want to repeat it one more time. Ha! So the useless one speaks. You're a damn statue, I didn't even notice you. Better keep quiet if you don't want to die. I warned you not to repeat it one more time. Goku, with a quick, fierce movement, would cut off Camus's arm. Holding Nin in his arms, Goku was so fast the Destroyer Gods found it difficult to follow him. Camus was on the ground, screaming, Down on earth! You insolent! You have managed to cut off my arm because I was off guard. I don't think that a simple movement like that could beat me. I'm one of the first gods, that's not enough. Camus expelled more power and would manage to generate his arm, pouncing on Goku. Goku, despite having Nin in his arms, dodged each of his blows. Didn't matter, Camus's guard was down. It's not possible Moro was able to cut off his arm with ease. I don't know who you are. I'll show you the result of my workout, and those who could hurt my Nin will pay with blood. Goku would send Camus flying. Nin, a safe place, with his gaze would change completely, starting to access the state of Super Saiyan Demon God. Goku in his state of Demon God would leave everyone surprised, including the deities of Universe 7, because the last Demon Goddess had appeared was Nin. What? How possible is this that another Demon God? It was said that only a king-level demon would be able to create more demons. But is Nin not a king-level demon, or is it because she was previously a supreme angel? Goku was starting to walk towards where Camus was lying. The legs of the supreme god, they were starting to shake from this, would notice the leader of the supreme gods, Orion. Camus will not be able to defeat that guy. It doesn't matter that Camus's power is much higher. His combat instinct has declared to the lowest when he knows that his enemy would be a demon god, since they're the only beings capable of eradicating us. You're right, Sama. If that's the case, wouldn't it be better for the three of us to fish with that cockroach? Because if your say is correct, Camus can't do anything. Despite his fears, Camus would approach Goku. The same way, much more both would be able to face each other, missing a few centimeters before they collide. And I don't care if you're a demon god. Right now, I'll end your existence. You're nothing more than a simple, dirty demon. We are gods. Are you done? I don't care if you're mortal, a god, a demon, or even an angel. You had the intention of ending Nin. In that case, you're only a subject that I should end to the other world. Camus, without able to react, was sent flying once more. Unlike the previous one, Goku was already waiting for him to connect another blow, sending him towards the surface of the place where they were, and would leave everyone surprised, including me. What? Even I have given him my blood. Even if he's trained for all this time without any rest, it's impossible for him to be able to increase his power. This guy does not respect the base laws of power. Apparently, even the Supreme God will not be able to defeat him. So the most likely and recommended thing would be that all of us who are in this place go to the battlefield, since an individual battle will be our downfall. You're completely confused, Whis. Must admit that the power of that guy is incredible. He's nothing more than a beast. The power of Demon God always has a limit. Well, you call yourselves the Holy Gods. This is just a joke, because even though I'm holding back, you can't do anything against me. The expression of everyone was of amazement. Knowing the demon in front of them, they did not use all his power. From all the rocks, a great silver light would rise all around him. That's right, Camus would access all of his energy reserves. Damn you. You're the second one who forces me to use my energy reserves. And the one who achieved it was Akira-san.
Dragon Ball Z is fun. No? That's fun. Why fucking fun? Yeah!
That would cover everything around him.
Fun!
A great golden light would cover the entire planet where the battle was being taken place. I'll not allow you to leave this planet alive. You've been able to seal this whole place because it is your biggest mistake. We are locked up. You will likewise get ready to die. Orion, without letting Goku say anything, rushed him. But below that, Orion would connect to Goku was an overwhelming power.
Fucking fun.
He would manage to send him flying to the base of the planet on the other end, destroying everything. That's not enough. Sacred swords of enlightenment. Thousands of energy swords would form on top of the planet, colliding with Goku's body. A lot of dust would be released all over the place, which would even make me worried, since the power of the dance in such an attack was incredible. It can't be! No matter how much power Goku has, if that attack was able to hit him, he'd be nothing, since that hit was max power of the Supreme God. Well, even though the Supreme Gods have died, the leader, Orion, was able to end the life of the demon-blooded individual. Apparently, the demon god is no match for the Supreme Gods. The expression of God-fears was of amazement, because the power of God and destruction was able to reach those limits. I promise I'll resume my trainings and I'll become more powerful of a god in the angelic kingdom. I'm already the most powerful god of the 12 universes. I have the motivation of the same gods to become more powerful. Zama would release his great power, leaving everyone surprised. He would manage to generate an incredible barrier around everyone. With the exception of Orion, before Whis and Beerus could react, a huge explosion would be generated throughout the planet, cracking the barrier to God Zalma. It is not over. Apparently that warrior is not easy to defeat. It seems that I will have to rely on the coming of Orion's aid. You cannot allow another Supreme God to fall on the battlefield. While they destroyed, a being in flames would be seen. From the moment to another, it would be disappearing, only to be seen that the god Orion fell to the ground, destroying the place. I'll spend my energy creating devastation. I channel my power to the vital point to make it more devastating and critical. The god Orion was on the ground, vomiting blood. Goku with Zoro would release shadows, which held Zalma completely, because he was moving through different dimensions. Your technique creating and destroying dimensions is incredible, but to use them are terrible. I've seen the dimension that you're creating from the beginning. They were called the Supreme Gods. No warrior has taken training seriously, but with that is different. It came to destroy that hierarchy. Goku with the cape would separate the head from the body of Zalma, which would leave everyone amazed, even Goku. Well. Apparently that pathetic warrior was nothing more than a compliment on the battlefield. He was a support since he didn't have a capacity for hand-to-hand combat. Ryan witnessed the death of his two companions. He would expel all his power and would even get hundreds of marks to invade his entire body, just like his power had exploded in a great way. I have no reason to live anymore. This is my stellar sacrifice. I will burn my soul completely. Let's see who gets to hell faster. Ryan, expelling all his power, would crack Goku's barrier. Specifically, he would communicate with Whis mentally.
HR, the fun puddings, handsome pushers, 4 eyes. That might be how you see them, but they're too busy to care.
Deities of Universe 7, get out of here. Hold it back with my life. Ask for reinforcements of the Angelic Kingdom and ask to send Kimura. Since this guy is dangerous, we can't allow him to continue evolving. The deities would quickly leave for Zeno-sama. However, a big smile would be seen on Goku's face. As a matter of thinking reinforcements, this kingdom, or even without the king, would be nothing. I would eradicate him. But I would like to see how you can see my combat against Kimura. I'd love to see your hope erased from your face. Ryan's expression was one of panic. That individual managed to overhear the mental conversation with Whis. I'm no longer interested in your qualities you are. At this moment we will die. If my mission fails, you can't end Kimura's life. He belongs to the elite of the Angelic Kingdom. As a warrior, I gotta confess, you're amazing. That's what a true warrior should do. Give his life on the battlefield instead of running like a little baby. Orion, while collecting his power at the base of his body, would start to approach towards Goku with great determination. Goku would respond with the same. You're my enemy. Out of respect, I promise not to move from this place. Detonate your energy. I'll show you that I'll be able to overcome it. I will use 95% of my power. Even if it's not all my power, the remaining 5%, I'm able to survive. This worm is confident of the power. Orion was starting to get closer to Need. However, he was a few centimeters away from her, and incredible pressure would fall. Orion would fall to the ground without being able to move. On the surface, a dark nebula of energy would form Goku's body. Bastard. I thought you had honor as a warrior, not worthy of me leaving you alive. So die. Goku would throw a sphere of energy, ending Orion's life. This, in the angelic realm, Akira could see the 3 supreme gods had disappeared. Dim, I don't know who you are, but I'll end your miserable life. The power of Akira would manage to shake the entire angelic kingdom. In the dark skies of Thraxus Nocturne, the stage was transformed into a cosmic battlefield, where divine light and the level of darkness collided in an epic confrontation. Owamo and Iwin, the guardians of this planet, displayed their celestial power with a grace and precision that defied description. The glow of the purifying light emanating from Ewan and Awamo spread across the space, illuminating the shadows that the shadow creature was trying to grasp. Ewan and Awamo's every move was a ballet of divine energy, as they gracefully dodged the dark attacks encountered with unstoppable force. Awamo's wings shone with a resplendent light, like stars in the night, as he invoked the very essence of creation to repel the dark forces rising up against him. By his side, Ewan radiated an imposing presence. With his penetrating gaze fixed on the creature, as it defied the darkness itself. The shadow creature on the land was ferocity, Their dark attacks were launched like in shadows, seeking to consume the divine light that surrounded them. However, every attack was countered by the impenetrable force of Ewan and Awamo, who remained firm in their purpose of protecting them. The flash between light and darkness created cosmic energy, with flashes of light and bursts of energy illuminating the firmament. The light will always prevail over the darkness. Your power is formidable, but it cannot resist the purity of creation. You can't stop me. I'm the embodiment of darkness. Darkness can be powerful, but the real strength lies in force of creation. While the creature struggled more and more desperately, the darkness can be a challenge, but our determination's unwavering. We'll not let you destroy this planet. Your power may be formidable, but it cannot equal the eternal light of the universe. The battle continued with Ewan and Awamo, the shadow creature facing off in an epic clash between light and dark. In the midst of the struggle, Father Zeno silently watched from his kingdom, perceived the magnitude of conflict. With an imperceptible gesture, he decided to intervene, taking Ewan and Awamo to a mental plane where they could confront the shadow creature in a terrain beyond the physical. In a flash of dazzling light, Awamo and Ewan were transported to the ethereal realm, where the laws of the universe twisted and blurred. Where are we, Ewan? We have entered the realm of the mind, a place where reality is molded according to the will of the observer. Here the real battle be fought in the deepest corners of our being. While Awamo and Ewan were transported to the mental plane by Father Zeno, the shadow creature continued its fierce assault against the warriors of Thraxus Nocturne. Turtles, Bardock, Raditz, Frieza, and Cooler, the most powerful, rose up against the darkness that threatened to consume their home. The shadow creature, imbued with a dark malevolent aura, hovered over them with an overwhelming presence. He distorted his energy, enveloping everything around him, tearing reality itself apart, and threatening to plunge the planet into an abyss of chaos. We won't let you destroy your home, shadow monster. We, the warriors of Thraxus Nocturne, are not afraid of the dark. We have faced much greater dangers than you, creature. We will fight together to protect our world. The shadow creature launched a powerful dark attack towards the warriors, but they responded with relentless ferocity. Turtles, his eyes shining with determination, unleashed a shower of destructive energy, summoning the very essence of nature to channel it in a torrent of energetic attacks. Their powerful attacks cut through the darkness with devastating precision, creating dazzling explosions that lit up the planet's night sky. Bardock, with his fiery ki and indomitable spirit, channeled his energy into a powerful attack. His fists were burning with a searing intensity as he launched a concentrated burst of energy towards the shadow creature, challenging its strength with its own. Bardock's attack resonated with the determination of an invincible warrior, willing to give everything for the protection of his world. Raditz and Cooler, united in battle, joined in a coordinated assault on the shadow creature. With fluid and coordinated movements, they launched bursts of energy from different angles, creating creating a barrier of attacks that surrounded their enemy. The shadow creature struggled to defend itself against the combined onslaught of the two powerful warriors, but its resistance was challenged by the determination and skill of Raditz and Cooler. Meanwhile, Frieza, with his golden form glowing with a golden aura, was preparing to unleash his full power against the shadow creature. His eyes shone with a cold and calculated determination as he focused his energy on a devastating attack. With a graceful and precise movement, Frieza unleashed a burst of golden energy that swirled with unparalleled destructive power, threatening to envelop the shadow creature in a mantle of fire and destruction. The battle escalated as the warriors of Thrax's Nocturne bravely faced the darkness that threatened their world. Every blow, every burst of energy echoed through space, creating a spectacle of destruction and determination. Meanwhile, on the mental plane, Awamo and Ewan were engaged in a metaphysical struggle against Father Zeno, an omnipotent entity whose presence radiated an aura of indescribable power. Ewan and Awamo, aware of the gravity of the situation, desperately sought the intervention of Father Zeno to counter the threat of the shadow creature. However, to their surprise, Father Zeno solemnly informed them that they could not intervene directly, since the balance of the universe had to be kept intact even in times of crisis. Awamo and Elin, although unhappy with Father Zeno's decision, understood the importance of respecting the laws of the cosmos. With determination, they plunged even deeper into the metaphysical struggle, using all their ingenuity and power to find a solution to the crisis unfolding in Thrax's Nocturne. As the confrontation on the mental plane reached its climax, Awamo and Elin found themselves face to face with the imposing Father Zeno. His figure radiated an indisputable authority, but also an aura of mystery that aroused restlessness in the Ewan and Awamo. Awamo, with his usual serenity, broke the tense silence that filled the ethereal space. Father Zeno, he began in a firm but respectful tone. Could it be you that were you the one who sent the shadow creatures to destroy the planets? Father Zeno, with an unflappable expression, nodded slowly. I did it for the good of the universe, he replied calmly. Although his voice resonated with the power that shook Ewan and Awamo, sometimes drastic measures must be taken to preserve the cosmic balance. Ewan, with a flash of not to change something more, but that doesn't justify the chaos and destruction you've unleashed, he explained, his voice echoing with a shake of determination. There are other ways to restore balance without resorting to violence and darkness. But, you know, observe the
did not scream when he arrived. It simply ceased to be anything else. There was no sky, no ground, no stars to chart the distance between life and death. There was only gold, an infinite, suffocating gold that tasted of ancient dust and the birth of galaxies. Son Goku lay pressed against a floor that wasn't matter, but solidified will, his body trembling not from fear, but from a pressure so absolute it made the gravity of a black hole feel like a gentle breeze. This was not the playful sparring of Whis, nor the erasure threat of Lord Beerus. This was older, heavier. Goku tried to lift his head, the familiar silver light of Ultra Instinct flickering around him like a dying candle in a hurricane. He gasped, his lungs burning as if he were inhaling molten glass. His muscles, tempered by decades of war, screamed in protest. He pushed against the floor, his knuckles splitting, blood floating up into the golden void as perfect, ruby spheres. Is this it? A voice resonated. It did not come from a mouth. It vibrated through Goku's bones, echoing from every direction at once. The mortal who dances with angels. The Saiyan who mimics the gods. Goku forced one eye open. Standing before him, unmoving, was a silhouette that seemed to stretch infinitely upward, a presence of scales and starlight, cloaked in robes woven from the fabric of reality itself. Zalama, the creator of the Super Dragon Balls, the Dragon God. Zalama raised a single hand, and the silver aura around Goku shattered like glass. You seek strength, Son Goku! The entity intoned, the sound tearing the air, but you have only learned to borrow it! Today, you will not borrow. You will burn. Before the golden abyss swallows the Saiyan's hope, And before the first true test of divinity begins, anchor your soul to this timeline. Subscribe now, so that when the history of the cosmos is rewritten, you are here to witness the legend unfold. The silence in the Dragon Realm was heavier than the scream of a dying star. It was not a quiet place. It was a place where sound had not yet been invented, or perhaps where it had been forgotten as a clumsy, mortal concept. Son Goku knew pain. He had felt the bone-shattering impact of Frieza's hatred, the biological perfection of Cell's precision, and the chaotic, pure destruction of Majin Buu. He had even tasted the divine erasure of the gods. But this was different. This was not violence. It was simply presence. The atmosphere pressed against him with the weight of a universe condensed into a single room. Every breath was a negotiation with gravity. His ribs creaked, a sickening, dry sound that echoed inside his own skull, the only noise he could hear over the rushing of his own blood. He lay flat on his stomach, his orange ki torn and pressed into the floor, a surface that shimmered like obsidian infused with liquid gold. It wasn't cold, nor was it hot. It felt like touching the concept of forever. Get up! Goku hissed through grit teeth, the words barely escaping his lips before the pressure swallowed them. He dug his fingers into the indestructible floor, his nails cracking under the strain. A flicker of instinct, honed by years of training with Whis, flared in his mind. Relax. Don't think. Just move. He closed his eyes, seeking that familiar silver tranquility. He reached for the state of ultra instinct, that beautiful, watery calmness that allowed him to bypass the limitations of the flesh. He visualized the silver light, the silencing of the mind, the separation of consciousness from action. The silver aura ignited for a heartbeat, a beautiful, fragile spark in the golden void. And then, the void ate it. The pressure didn't just suppress the transformation, it humiliated it. The silver light shattered instantly, dissolving into nothingness, as if the air itself was acidic to divine energy. Goku gasped, his eyes snapping open wide in sheer shock. The backlash was immediate, a spasm of agony that tore through his neural pathways, as if his own nervous system had rejected him. You bring a candle into the heart of the sun and expect it to illuminate the dark? The voice did not come from the figure standing above him. It came from the golden mist, from the floor, from the space between Goku's own atoms. Goku forced his head up, the muscles in his neck screaming like tearing metal. Zalama stood there. He was not humanoid. Not truly. He appeared as a towering convergence of golden scales and flowing robes that seemed woven from the nebulae of distant galaxies. His face was hidden beneath a hood of shifting starlight, but two eyes burned from within the shadowed vertical slits of crimson dragon fire that held no malice, only an unbearable, ancient scrutiny. My energy, Goku choked out, pushing himself onto one trembling knee. It's gone. It is not gone, Son Goku, Zalama intoned. The entity did not move. He merely existed, and that was enough to distort the space around him. It is merely irrelevant here. You have spent years painting yourself in the colors of angels. You dye your hair blue. You silver your soul. You seek to become a god by imitating their tranquility. Zalama took a single step forward. The sound was like a mountain cracking in half. But you are not an angel. You are not a destroyer. You are a creature of blood and bone, born of a race that thrives on the jagged edge of death. Goku growled, a low, defiant sound rising from his chest. The Saiyan pride, buried deep beneath layers of divine discipline, flared to life. He didn't understand the philosophy. He only understood the challenge. If Ultra Instinct wouldn't work, he would use force. Brute, unadulterated force. If I can't become, Goku panted, sweat dripping from his chin and vaporizing before it hit the floor. Then he'll just break through. With a roar that tore at his throat, Goku abandoned the silver path. He reached for the deep, explosive reservoir of Super Saiyan Blue. He clenched his fists, seeking that familiar explosive pressure, that surging river of God Ki that he had mastered over countless battles. He tried to force his aura outward, to create a bubble of power that would push back this crushing atmosphere. Blue light flickered around his skin. The floor beneath him trembled, microscopic cracks appearing in the golden obsidian. But the dragon god did not blink. He merely exhaled. A wind, ancient and dry, swept across the chamber. It wasn't a physical wind. It was a wave of absolute authority. It struck Goku's aura and stripped it away like flesh from bone. The Super Saiyan Blue transformation didn't power down. It was dismantled. The God Ki was separated from Goku's body, pulled out into the air, and dissolved into the golden mist, leaving him gasping, utterly normal, and terrifyingly mortal. Goku collapsed back onto his hands and knees, his hair falling black and heavy over his eyes. He stared at his trembling hands. They looked small, fragile. For the first time since he was a child facing King Piccolo, he felt the icy grip of true vulnerability. He wasn't being beaten by a stronger fighter. He was being undone by a higher law. This realm is the crucible of wishes, Zalama said, his voice lowering to a rumble that shook Goku's ribs. Here, reality is not bent by ki. It is bent by will. Your god forms are borrowed concepts, techniques given to you by attendants and deities who seek balance. I do not care for balance. I care for truth. Zalama extended a hand. The golden mist swirled, forming a heavy, tangible sphere of energy above his palm, dense, heavy, and terrifying. Show me what remains when the gods are stripped away, Saiyan. Show me the monster that sleeps beneath the monk. The sphere of energy hovering above Zalama's palm did not fire like a beam. It simply fell. It dropped with the slow, terrifying inevitability of a moon, deorbiting, drifting toward Goku, not as an attack, but as a test of structural integrity. Goku watched it come. His body, stripped of the protective shroud of God Ki, felt naked. Every nerve ending was firing warning signals, screaming at him to fly, to vanish, to dodge. But he couldn't move. The air around him had solidified into invisible chains. Kaio! Ken! He wheezed, his voice a wet, ragged ruin. He reached into the depths of his body, trying to ignite the crimson fire of the King Kai fist. It was a mortal technique, raw and dangerous, something that didn't require the calmness of angels. He felt the familiar spark, the heat rising in his chest, but before it could bloom, the golden pressure snuffed it out. The technique didn't fail. His body simply refused to answer. The biological toll of the realm was too high. To multiply his power now would be to shatter his own bones instantly. The golden spear touched his chest. There was no explosion, no heat, only weight. Goku screamed a sound that was less a battle cry and more a primal reaction to absolute violation. The energy didn't burn his skin. It passed through his flesh like a ghost, sinking directly into his core. It felt as though someone had poured molten lead into his veins. The sphere merged with him, and for a second, Goku's back arched violently, his heels digging furrows into the indestructible floor. He fell face forward, his cheek pressed against the cold gold. He couldn't breathe. The weight was inside him now, pinning his soul to the ground. You are hollow, Zalama observed, the judgment landing heavier than the energy sphere. The dragon god began to circle Goku's prone form, his tail sweeping silently through the mist. I look inside you, Son Goku, and I see a patchwork creation. I see the martial arts of a turtle hermit. I see the techniques of a northern king. I see the spirit ball of a Kai. I see the divine instincts of an angel. Zalama stopped directly in front of Goku's face. The Saiyan's vision was blurring, the edges of the world turning gray. You are a magnificent collage, a masterpiece of mimicry. But where are you? Goku's fingers twitched. He tried to make a fist, to summon the defiance that had defined his entire existence. I am me, he wanted to shout. I am the one who protects the earth. But the words died in his throat, choked off by the realization that in this place, protection meant nothing. There was nothing here to protect. There was only the self. He tried to push up again. His triceps trembled violently, bulging with the strain of lifting not just his body, but the crushing weight of the dragon's judgment. A drop of blood fell from his nose, hitting the floor with a distinct, metallic tink. He managed to lift his chest 6 inches off the ground. Pathetic, Zalama whispered. The atmosphere slammed down. Goku collapsed, his chin hitting the floor hard enough to split the skin. The darkness began to encroach from the corners of his vision, a comforting, velvet void promising an end to the pressure. It would be so easy to sleep, to just let go, but a singular, jagged thought pierced the haze. It wasn't a thought of saving the universe. It wasn't a thought of his friends. It was simpler, purer. I haven't won yet. He kept his eyes open, staring at the golden scales of the gods standing over him. The fear began to curdle into something else. Frustration, confusion, and beneath it all, a tiny, smoldering ember of humiliation. He was Son Goku. He had fought gods of destruction. He had shaken the void of the tournament of power. Why was he so helpless here? The silence is coming, Saiyan, Zalama said, his form beginning to dissolve back into the towering golden mist, leaving Goku alone in the center of the abyss. You have relied on the noise of battle to define who you are. You scream to power up. You clash to feel alive. But here, there is no opponent to push against. There is only the weight of your own inadequacy. The light in the realm began to dim, shifting from brilliant gold to a deep, suffocating twilight. The pressure did not relent. It became intimate, squeezing his heart in his chest. Survive the silence! The voice echoed, fading into the distance. Or fade into it. Goku was left alone in the crushing dark, his body broken, his ki locked away, with nothing left but the deafening sound of his own failing heartbeat. Time did not pass in the Dragon Realm. It eroded. Goku had no way of knowing how long he had been lying in the dark. It might have been minutes. It might have been a century. The darkness was a physical substance, a thick velvet oil that coated his skin and seeped into his ears, muffling even the sound of his own breathing. The pain, which had been a shimmered on his skin. He struck the dragon god on the nose. Gone. The sound was the tolling of a cosmic bell. The impact sent a ripple through the entire dimension, shattering the golden sky and cracking the infinite floor. Zalama, the creator of the Super Dragon Balls, the being of infinite scale, was knocked backward. The giant stumbled, his massive form crashing into a nebula of golden mist. Goku lowered his fist. He exhaled, and a small puff of steam escaped his lips, dissolving into the void. He stood alone in the center of the shaking realm, a mortal who had forced the heavens to blink. The golden mist settled. The violence evaporated as quickly as it had begun, leaving only the reverberating hum of the single strike that had connected. Zalama did not fall. He was a fundamental constant of the multiverse. He could not be toppled by a punch, but he had been moved. He stood upright, his massive form shrinking back down to the humanoid armored figure, rubbing his jaw with a slow, deliberate motion. He looked at his hand. There was a smear of golden ichor, the blood of a dragon god. He looked up at Goku, and a low, rumbling sound filled the air. It started